Hello, Gold Derbyites. Welcome to another edition of Awards Magnet. I'm Deputy Editor Ethan Alter, and with me is Senior Editor Denton Davidson. How you doing, Denton?
I'm good. It's fight night at Gold Derby.
That's right, exactly. I think the best way to set this particular edition up is, do you smell what Awards Magnet is cooking? That's,
Let's go. Come on.
there we go.
This is the energy I want.
The energy. That's right. We're talking this week about two boxing themed Oscar hopefuls coming up this year. The first one, obviously, is The Smashing Machine, starring Dwayne Johnson. That's in theaters on Friday, October 3rd. So as you're listening to this, it is in theaters now. You can go see it. Go watch Dwayne Johnson smash some folks. And then the other one that we'll chatting about is Christy, the Sydney Sweeney boxing movie that's coming out in November. So we're going to give, both Denton and I have seen that. I saw it in Toronto. Denton saw it in LA. So we'll have a chance to kick around that one as well, because it's notable that both of these movies are trying to get their stars, both not only physically transform them into these boxers, but they're also looking to get that angle of a Rocky or a Raging Bull, a fight movie that winds up in the Oscar conversation. So it's interesting that we're getting both of those this year.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna get into it. I think one does a little bit of better than the other, but it's fascinating, and they are two, stars transforming and really kind of gunning for their Oscar debut here. I mean, that's what they really want.
Right, absolutely, yeah. This would be the first Oscar nomination for both, and so they've been using the film festival circuit to really launch themselves into Oscar play in a big way. So we're going to get into both movies, but first, off the top, both Denton and I think are fans of fighting, boxing, wrestling movies. It's one of my favorite genres. So we're gonna give you a sense of where we come from in our particular tastes in these films. So Denton, why don't you give us your top three fight movies of all time?
Okay, my top three, like number three is like my elite prestige cinephile side of myself, and that's Scorsese's Raging Bull. I mean, it's De Niro's Oscar. It's one of my probably my favorite performance of his, other than Taxi Driver. So anyway, classic. My number two, I was more of a high school student at this time, not that typical boxing movie, but Fight Club. I mean, come on. Edward Norton, Brad Pitt, everyone knows that poster with the bar of soap, like everything iconic about that movie. And then my number one, bar none, Bloodsport.
Yeah.
Jean-Claude Van Damme peak right at the beginning of his peak, like 1988. The classic pose with his feet on chairs. You can't see me. I can only do it with my arms. Doing this full splits with just heels on chairs. And that just made way for Jean-Claude Van Damme becoming one of the great action stars of the 90s. And of course, I grew up with that, and he's one of my favorites. So, Bloodsport, number one.
Bloodsport's amazing. One of my favorite scenes, and I'll just randomly rewatch it, is when he gets hit in the eyes with that blinding thing. His opponent throws the blinding stuff in his eyes. He can't see. He's doing this thing he can't see, and then he has to fight just with his senses. It's very Star Warsy. I love that whole sequence.
It's one of those movies that it comes on TV a lot, and you just leave it. I mean, I know a lot of people are watching less TV. Like, not things don't come upon the television as much as they used to, but still, when it did, you can't change the channel.
100%. And early Forrest Whitaker too, which is amazing to be that movie has an Oscar winner in it. It's just I love that. I love that about Bloodsport. Over on my three, I will say off the top, I respect and honor Raging Bull. It is a terrific boxing movie. It was not on my list, and that's just purely because I can't call it a favorite. It's not a movie I go out of my way to rewatch. In the same way I do the three I have picked. But all respect to it. It deserves all the acclaim it gets. My number, you went in reverse order. I'll do that as well. My number three is Ong Bak, the Thai Warrior, which is a great,
Wow.
a really fun Tony Jaa movie. It's got great fights in it. Tony Jaa's a great just action hero. This launched him to global superstardom. I really enjoyed that one. And it definitely is a spiritual descendant of Bloodsport. You can tell they watched that movie a bunch, and they just don't have Jean-Claude Van Damme in it. But
I love that choice.
it's such a good movie. I love that one. And I'll just rewatch random snippets of it from time to time. Number two, this fuses two genres I particularly love. It's Undisputed. This is the Walter Hill prison boxing movie that starred Ving Rhames and Wesley Snipes. And again, this is a guy, I'm a big fan of prison movies too. Brings the genres together, and seeing Ving Rhames in his prime and Wesley Snipes in his prime fighting each other in that at the end of that movie is terrific. So I love Undisputed, and it launched a whole direct-to-video franchise of movies. Not all of them I've seen, but that first one I'll watch and rewatch again and again. And then my number one favorite sports movie, favorite Stallone movie, Rocky 3. Rocky 3 is for me the best of the Rocky franchise. It has the best villain. It has the best fights. It's got Apollo Creed turning from heel to friend. It's got the slow motion running on the beach. It's just a perfect sports movie. So
I completely agree with you about Rocky 3. All respect to Rocky, like the Oscar caliber film, but Rocky 3 is the best. I completely agree. Also, very interesting that you're really into prison and fighting movies. I'm not sure like what's happening there, but we're gonna have to learn more.
There we go. I think it's just because it's so removed from my own self. So I like that genre allows me to imagine myself as something completely.
That's
different.
how you want to spin this.
Right. Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Let's just put it that way. I also like Broke Down Palace among prison movies. Let's put a shout out there for Broke Down Palace. All right. So that's where we're coming from when we're talking about our usual fight movies. Both of these, Smashing Machine and Christy, it's safe to say, are not a Rocky 3, are not an Undisputed or a Bloodsport. These are much more serious, much more straightforward, but also have some good fighting in them. Especially
there's action. I mean, there's definitely action. When I was at Smashing Machine, I was next to people covering their eyes. So people that want like a good smash to the face and blood squirting, you're going to get that. I mean, it is brutal, and I would say Christy is brutal for different reasons at different parts of the film that are a little more disturbing than fighting. So yeah, we'll get into all of that.
Absolutely. Let's kick off with Smash Machine. As I said, that's in theaters right now. Here, a quick plot synopsis. Dwayne Johnson plays Mark Kerr, who was an early fighter in what became the UFC. He was a mixed martial artist. We follow him in the early 2000s as he competes in 2 Japanese tournaments specifically. That's the period we're focusing on. And he's also at the same time wrestling with an addiction to opioids, which gets worse after he loses one particular bout in a controversial way. And he sort of descends into a opioid haze. He's not helped very much by his girlfriend, Dawn Staples, who is played by Emily Blunt. They have kind of a toxic relationship, but also a real bond. So the movie deals with that aspect of his life as well. And then besides Johnson, obviously, who comes from the WWE, there are some actual MMA fighters in the film. Ryan Bader plays Kerr's friend and competitor named Mark Coleman, and their relationship, their friendship is a key part of the movie. And Bass Rutten, hopefully I'm saying his name right, plays himself in the movie. And he sort of helps train Kerr and get him ready for his comeback bout. When he goes back to Japan. So basically, the movie is directed by Benny Safdie, his first solo directing effort after breaking up with his brother Josh Safdie. It's I would compare it kind of to The Wrestler. It has a very observational style in the same way, and it's about Mark Kerr just kind of trying to be a good person in an industry that saps a lot out of you. I think is sort of fair to say the arc of it. But overall thoughts. What did you think coming out of Smashing Machine?
I really liked it. I mean, I thought it was really good. I enjoyed it. It's clearly Dwayne Johnson's best acting performance. And I mean, people sort of laugh about that because of the type of films that he's been in. That's like clearly. But I mean, he does get into the drama here. I mean, and he is transformed. There's prosthetics. His face is different. His speaking voice is different. So I was impressed. I mean, I liked that. The fighting is realistic. It's brutal. I think I found the personal story less interesting, less intriguing. And one of the things that people were saying as they walked out of that theater that day was it was entertaining, but like, who is that movie for? Why do we need to know this story? Are people outside of big MMA fans going to get into this? And I guess we'll see like how the box office performs. But it didn't seem like a story that really resonated with the masses, at least at the theater I was at.
It is interesting. One thing that occurred to me while watching it, and compared to some of the movies we were talking about earlier, Raging Bull or something like that Mark Kerr himself is not, or The Wrestler, Mark Kerr himself is not himself a particularly bad or self-destructive person, which is interesting. Like the Jake LaMotta story, he's very self-destructive, and that becomes the crux of the plot. Here, Mark is, for the most part, a good guy who's overmatched by his addictions and then his unwillingness to lose. And it's interesting that that's the way they went, because it does sort of result in a lack of conflict through the movie, which is the main thing I sort of felt watching. Is the fighting was great, as you said. Dwayne Johnson does a nice job, but there's something missing from it. I wonder if that's because we're used to watching stories about self-destructive fighters in this kind of
Right. I mean, this is probably a spoiler, maybe a little bit, but like his addiction, it seems like very easy for him. Like it's just like he tries once and it's like, okay, like I'm done with that. And Emily Blunt's character is nothing but annoying. Like she is just hounding him, ruining his life. Like there's got to be more to this person than was written. And Emily Blunt is a fantastic actress, and so she does as much as she can with this. I mean, she's really good in the film, but the character is so unlikable, and there's really no other side to her. Like at no point are you sort of hoping anything better for this person.
Yeah. It's interesting too, because I don't say this in the movie, but Dawn Staples came to the Toronto premiere. She was there in the audience, and at the end it indicates that they were married for a little while, or together for a little while, and then broke up. So they're no longer together. They do share a son, and she clearly supports him. But it is interesting that we don't really, the seeds of it are kind of hinted at, but they try to end it on a more positive note in terms of their relationship. And yeah, I almost wish that they had shown us more, been more specific about how they broke up, and maybe that would have given her more to do.
One of the things we talk about a lot is like these ridiculous standing ovations that happen at festivals, and like some are like 20 minutes, and it's like how long actually matters. I will say I was at this, and like Benny Safdie and Dwayne Johnson, Emily Blunt, they were all there, and the audience did not stand at all when they came out. Like there was zero standing ovation. And I was at a DGA screening. It was a packed house, and it was full of Academy members, like voters. So there was applause and there was an appreciation for the movie, but nobody stood up, which I found interesting, because sometimes I think people do that just to be polite, but no dice for the Rock.
It was interesting. It's the same in Toronto. Toronto audiences historically don't stand for the most part. They don't do standing O's. But he did get a bigger reaction when he did before the screening. He did an in conversation with event where he just sort of, it was a 90-minute chance for him to sort of talk about the movie and his career. And you saw a lot more Rock fans and WWE fans, especially in that audience. And so that event was a little more rowdy, a little more applause, a little more like shouting back, obviously, because he's there talking on stage, telling stories that they know. But you're right. But at Toronto as well, like the reaction was certainly positive, but not overwhelmingly like standing up and applauding for 10, 15 minutes.
And what I would tell people is go see the movie. I mean, it's good. I mean, you might love it. I really liked it. I think it's good. I think it's a really entertaining movie. I'm interested to see what happens with Dwayne Johnson. It's a really interesting Best Actor year. And I mean, we'll see what his chances are there.
Right. Yeah, we should say on the Gold Derby leaderboards right now, he is in fourth place, so he is in our top five. The full list is Timothy Chalamet at number one, even though no one's seen that movie yet. Marty Supreme, and funnily enough, that's directed by the other Safdie brother, Josh Safdie. So people, I think, are hinging their bets on that one, maybe being something really transformative for Chalamet. And then Jeremy Allen White is in second for the Springsteen film that just played at NIF. New York Film Festival. Leonardo DiCaprio is third for One Battle After Another. Then we have Dwayne Johnson, and then Michael B. Jordan for Sinners is hanging around in the top five. So that's not a bad five, and I do think that Dwayne Johnson, he wants this. He clearly wants this Best Actor Oscar, and I think if he campaigns hard enough, it'll overcome the fact that the movie is good but not great. And I think the more he's out there stumping for it, the more likely that he'll end up in the top five.
I mean, it's a volatile top five. I mean, I don't trust anything about this right now. I don't know what Timothée Chalamet is doing in this movie. I don't trust that he's the number one front runner. I have this theory that like it's gonna be such a crapshoot that by the end of it all, when all the dust settles, it's just gonna be Leonardo DiCaprio, because they don't know who else to give it to, and he's great in One Battle After Another, and they can, like, Leo having a second Oscar, who minds that? I'm hopeful for The Rock, but I'm skeptical as well. I don't know if they're going to take seriously someone who comes from the world of wrestling. This is his first serious role. And are they just going to treat him like they treat J-Lo? I don't know. But what I will say that is maybe kind of a difference is that Dwayne Johnson is extremely well liked in the industry, and he's a huge box office star. So producers love him, other actors love him. So there is goodwill towards Dwayne Johnson, more so than I would say there is towards Jennifer Lopez.
Right. Absolutely. What's interesting too, like, I mean, they are, he is certainly leaning to the idea of like, oh, I've never done a role like this before. And in some ways that's true, but I also think he's stretched himself in the past before he went on that blockbuster run. Obviously, Pain and Gain is one one great performance, more comic, but still different from what we'd seen him do at that point. Southland Tales, going really far back, like that's an interesting performance in that. And then one that I like to call out is a small movie called Snitch from 2013, where he plays a dad whose son is, again, prison movie. His son is in prison, and from the outside, he has to keep his son safe. And that's directed by this fun director, Rick Roman-Waugh, who's done a bunch of low-budget prison movies, including Shot Caller, which is another great prison movie. It all comes back to prison movies.
But
yeah,
he's huge in this movie. I mean, massive. Right. He looks like the Hulk. Like Mark Kerr was not this big. I mean, but he was big, but Dwayne Johnson looks like cartoonishly gigantic. I mean, it's unbelievable how he can transform his body.
Right, absolutely. And we should say that the director, Benny Safdie, won the Silver Lion at Venice. He won the one for directing, which I think surprised a lot of people. I don't think people expected him to win that statue. I don't see that happening, opening a door to him getting nominated in the Best Director category. I think it's just too stacked a category this year. And the direction, I would say, is not the chief virtue of that film. He does a nice job with it, but I don't think it's distinguished from, again, what Darren Aronofsky was doing in The Wrestler or things like that. It feels very much of a piece with that as opposed to something unique.
I think makeup has a chance. Right. I mean, Dwayne has the prosthetics. You can see him in there, but he does look different. And then, of course, like all the blood and bruises that everyone wants in the Best Makeup Oscar. So it's. I mean, probably not a winner, but I would say it has a shot in makeup.
And the Emily Blunt question will be really interesting. I do think supporting actress right now is also a wide field. People like her. She's popular in the industry. She and Dwayne have this friendship that's been going on for years. They really have leaned into that on the trail. And I do think that his performance benefits from the fact that he knows her so well. And I think that might be one of the reasons why, I don't know if she was the one to reach out to him about it or he reached out to her, but I think they recognize that they could both help each other in this part or in this movie.
And credit to her. I think I complain about the writing of the character, and I just found her sort of not helpful in the film. But if the wrong actress had that in their hands, it could have been disastrous. I mean, she really pulls it off. So she does a lot with a little, I think, in this. So it's no discredit to her performance at all. I just thought the character wasn't one of my favorite.
Totally. And I think to your point about the box office, I think the movie will do pretty well, certainly opening weekend. The rock fans will turn out for it. I think the whole MMA aspect is more popular than people sometimes realize. So I think that'll get people into the door. So whether it has longer legs than that, we'll see. But I do think there is going to be a lot of curiosity, and that will help feed the narrative as well. This transformation is being rewarded by the public who love The Rock. And so that feeds into his narrative as well as award season keeps going. So that's Smashing Machine. Again, October 3rd. If you see it, share your thoughts with us at awards magnet at goldderby.com. But let's turn to Christy, which comes out in November. Now, this is a different, a slightly different kind of boxing movie. It's a boxing movie along with this really intense drama that we'll get into a little bit. So in Christy, Sydney Sweeney plays Christy Martin. She's one of the first female boxers who became Sports Illustrated famous. She was on the cover of Sports Illustrated after she had won a bunch of fights and was getting recognition for her achievements. So she had this really enviable winning record in the ring, but that her career went sideways after she lost a bout with Laila Ali, Muhammad Ali's daughter. And so her career was sort of set back at that point. So that's the boxing portion of the movie. There's also this story about domestic violence violence because she wound up marrying her trainer, James V. Martin, who's played by Ben Foster in the film. And he's a very controlling figure. He started really controlling her life, was violent with her. And so you have this aspect of the ring stuff where she's triumphing and taking care and taking care of business in the ring, while at home she's being abused both mentally and physically by her husband. So it's a very odd balance, or hard, difficult balance for any film to pull off. And I don't know that Christy quite does it for me. How did you feel about that film?
I have to say I did not love it. Unfortunately, I barely liked it. I thought it was a little forced. Sydney Sweeney just wasn't selling the character for me. I never took her that seriously or believed that she could just kick everyone's ass. I think it's like a 57 on Metacritic, so it's not resonating with critics either. But I think Sydney Sweeney is a very good actress. I think she's branching out into some new territory here, but it takes a lot to sell this kind of role. And I was like maybe 75% there with her. And you know, the more dramatic scenes, I was more invested. It was the fighting that I didn't find believable, and sort of her like rough and gruff attitude. I don't know. It didn't translate for me. I would say my favorite performance was probably Merritt Weaver as her mom,
Oh,
like
yes.
her crazy mother. And that, so I don't think there's much of a chance at any acting Oscars, but I would I would give my shout out to Merritt Weaver here.
Merritt Weaver is very good, and she has one of the most hissable scenes in the movie.
Yeah.
But we'll talk. We're going to have a spoiler space where we talk about some of the third act stuff. But yeah, there is a scene that again, I saw that film in Toronto, and she got so many hisses for that scene. She that she gets. Merritt Weaver leaned into it completely and sold it. It's interesting. Sydney Sweeney had a really warm reception in Toronto. I think there was a lot of curiosity about what her portrayal would be like, how her transformation would be. Again, she sort of played into the narrative. I've had to really transform my body to play Christy Martin, and the reception was mostly positive. I do agree with you that as written, the role doesn't allow her to do much, but I think she lands for lack of a better word, the punches she needs to land in the scenes. And it did remind me that apart from being this sort of public figure who everyone is obsessed with for various reasons, she is a very good actress. She's great in that TV series, TV movie Reality, The White Lotus. She was very good on. Even Euphoria. I think her breakout role. She's terrific on that show. So I think this reminds you that she has that serious dramatic skill. I wish the movie were better, because I do think the movie lets her down.
I think that you can take any great actor and you put them in a sports drama and it can get cringe real fast, because I mean there's something innately physical in being a natural athlete, and if you're not, the worst is basketball. And there is like a basketball moment in this where like she's dribbling, like if you can't like really dribble a basketball, it's the most ridiculous looking thing on screen. So I just feel like it's tough. I think the sports elements, I don't know if she's a natural athlete, but that's what wasn't coming across for me in the film.
And I think the boxing scenes were not particularly well shot either. David Michaud is the director. He did an okay job, but again, even put alongside the Smashing Machine, the fights I think are more effectively staged in the way Benny Safdie tries to capture them than here, where I think you're mainly outside of the ring. You don't go in that often. The punches are sort of at camera, so the fights were a little underwhelming in that way as well. And maybe that was part of it because he knew he was also balancing this much more serious storyline that's more star 80 than Rocky, and sort of having that element of the film makes it harder maybe to do this sort of rousing boxing movie when you know you're coming home and doing that more serious stuff as well.
Yeah, there's also a docuseries on Netflix called Untold, Deal with the Devil, and it's about the same story and the real Christie's, and the real Christie's also shows up in this movie as well. By the way, she has a little cameo. But the docuseries just has provided so much more depth to me. So like I kind of knew the story. So this movie might actually appeal to people more who don't already know the real story, because I feel like it was just missing a lot.
Right. No, great. Over on the Best Actress chart on the Gold Derby leaderboards, Sydney Sweeney is currently in 8th place. So she's definitely outside of the top 5. The top 5 right now is Jessie Buckley for Hamnet, Renata Renzi for Sentimental Value, Cynthia Erivo for Wicked for Good, Emma Stone for Begonia, and Rose Byrne for If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. So those are the 5 that are in there right now. I do think that's still an unsettled category. And again, Sydney Sweeney, if they hit the transformation element, maybe she gets pulled along by the goodwill around Smashing Machine that allows people to overlook the movie itself. That could help. I do think there is a way for her to maneuver into the race, certainly in the Globes, if not the Oscars. But I
Oh
do
yeah,
think she's going to be
Best
hung.
Actress is definitely not settled at all. I mean, I think Jessie Buckley might be settled. I feel like I'm hearing a lot of people saying like slam dunk, close the, like she's probably going to sweep awards season, but maybe 2 through 5 are a total crapshoot at this point, and we're just gonna have to wait and see how things settle out.
Right, exactly. I was wondering because I think Ben Foster is an actor who transforms himself quite often, and he transforms himself here as well. He has a pot belly, a terrible hair, and he plays this creep very well, but it's just not a pleasant performance to watch. And again, going back to the star 80 of it all, Eric Roberts wasn't nominated for that film. I think as much as he gives his all to playing that character and does a good job as you can, I think he's just such an unlikable person. People are gonna not pull him out as a best supporting actor candidate.
Yeah, and I think you have to be in a better movie to get in for a role like that. So I mean, if this was like a Best Picture contender and there was going to be 8 nominations, then yes, we'll pull in the person we all hate in the movie the most. But no, I don't think so with this one.
Right, exactly. As mentioned, I definitely want to get into a little some spoiler spaces because as you said, Denton, there is a real documentary about Christy that tells this aspect of her life, and Mark Kerr's life as well is also pretty much on the record. You can find this stuff out there. It's always weird to think about spoiling a biopic, but just in case you don't know, in case anyone out there isn't familiar with these people's stories, we do want to talk about the third act because there are of both films because there are significant things that happen. So this is the spoiler space of we're officially ending spoiler space now. If you don't want to spoil yourself, hit pause here, come back after you've seen Smashing Machine and or Christy to get into it. For Smashing Machine, as we alluded to earlier, one of the big elements of the movie is that Mark Kerr, as depicted in the film, hates to lose, and that's really what sort of drives him into that initial opioid fuel of despair after he loses that one controversial fight. We then get him building back up to the rematch. He's going to go back and fight again. It's possible that he and Mark Coleman are going to face off in the finals. That's what we're building to, the two of them fighting. But he ends up losing the semifinal round and doesn't go to the finals. So in the end, after all that buildup, he loses before he even gets to the finals, which is an interesting ending. Not the sort of rousing Rocky 2, Rocky 3 ending you get. And I thought that was an interesting way to end it. I'll be curious to see how people feel about that, knowing that The Rock for once doesn't win. He doesn't walk away the winner of this particular fight.
Well, and I didn't care that he lost. What I cared more about is that they didn't even get to the point, like the climax of him fighting his friend. Like that's what they were building to for like almost that the whole back half of the movie. It's like, oh, he's gonna have to like go against his friend. And that never happens. Like nothing ever happens. So then he just loses and then he just goes off and it's like, okay, and then it's just kind of over.
Right.
So I was like, what the hell was that? And the ending is tough. I mean, it's a fun ride, I think, until the end, and then it's sort of like okay. And that's why people walked out of it and was like, why do we care about this story so much? Enough to make a film about it. No disrespect to the people involved, but it was like that was the question that people were asking.
No, it's true, and that's the danger of like telling a real person story when it's on the record, and that's how his career went. He lost that fight, and you do sort of hit the end and be like, oh, so we don't even get that moment of friend has to fight friend. In a way, you could say, oh, it sort of goes against the conventional narrative, and that's what makes it interesting. But I think again, if you're going to do that, then the ending has to just land differently. I think the way it lands, it just kind of feels. It kind of lies there. Like they need either one more scene together where Mark is maybe frustrated because at the end you see Mark sort of embrace the other Mark and they're fine together. So you're kind of wondering, okay, what? So we built up to that. We don't get any real closure from it. Just in the end, they're both friends still, and they're both nice guys, and isn't that great? So yeah, it's a strange way to end that particular story.
Yeah, I liked the actor playing Mark Coleman. I mean, he was really good.
Yeah.
That was so I don't know. I didn't know what to think of it at the end. I still don't know what I think about this movie. I think that I liked it though, but it leaves a lot to be desired. I think it's going to have a lot of uphill battles at the Oscars. I think Dwayne's its best shot in makeup, and then other than that, like it's going to struggle with writing and directing and all of that.
Yeah, no, for sure. I will say, playing into the Dwayne narrative, certainly there was always that rumor that he had in his contract that he could never lose a fight. That was always the big thing in any of the Fast and the Furious movies and all that. He could never lose a fight. So I do kind of find it funny that here he's allowed himself to lose a fight, and maybe that's something he can talk about. Like he's vulnerable. He's finally
Oh,
lost a fight in a movie.
he's a real artist now.
Right, exactly. He's let himself lose.
I did not know that was in his contract. That's hilarious.
Well, allegedly,
Oh,
that was
excellent.
always the rumor that he could not lose a fight in a movie, supposedly. But yeah, so it is funny to me that when he loses here, it feels like, oh, he's finally, like, this is his way of showing he's ready for Oscar. He can lose on screen and it's okay.
Wow.
Over on Christy, the third act there, again, this is all in the public record, so if people know the story of Christy Martin, it won't surprise them. But in the third act, we leave boxing pretty much entirely, because and we find out that James, as in real life, James gets insanely jealous of Christy, and one night breaks. She's left him by this point, but comes back to get things from the house. He comes into their bedroom, stabs her multiple times, and then shoots her at least twice, and then leaves her for dead. And so for a minute there, and I have to say, I didn't know Christy's story, so I thought, oh, this is again the Dorothy Stratton Star 80 thing. She's dead here, but no, she manages to get up, get out of the house, gets herself to the hospital, is treated, and manages to and live. She survives that near attempted murder. So that was something that I didn't know going in, and I found an interesting shift in the third act. Again, the movie isn't good enough to make that entirely pay off, but it was unexpected. I was genuinely surprised by where it went in that third act.
So, I mean, I knew that was coming because I knew her story. So I wonder if that does make a difference then. Like, I mean, is that something you enjoyed about the film? Because I feel like most people probably won't know this story going into it.
Right. I don't know if enjoyed's the right word, because it's harrowing. It's pretty intense
Right.
what happens, but it does go in a different direction. So I wasn't expecting that to be where the movie ends up going. I think the movie then ultimately goes on too long in that section, and I wonder if there is a way of streamlining that. But yeah, I was caught off guard by where it went. I didn't know that part of her story. So I think if people don't know that about Christy Martin's life, that aspect of the movie might surprise them in maybe not a good way necessarily, but it will intrigue them more than just the boxing element.
It's also a cautionary tale because, I mean, if we're giving spoilers away in this part, I mean, Christy grew up, Merritt Weaver's extremely religious. They kind of know Christy is a lesbian, and they're like, absolutely fucking not. Like, this is not happening. So she's dating a girl, and then she like suppresses it and then goes with this guy, and parents are like, great, she's marrying a man who's gonna stab her over and over again and shoot her twice. So like there you get. So I mean, it's just it's a cautionary tale, and it's disturbing in a lot of ways. And her life has turned around since then. I mean, she ended up. That's one of the crazy parts about she ended up marrying a woman who's like ass she beat in the ring, like like one of her rivals, which is hilarious. And they're still married to this day. So it's an interesting turnaround.
Right. And that role was played by, we should say, Katie O'Brien, who was the breakout star of Love Lives Bleeding and was in the most recent Mission Impossible. So, and I liked her. I wish we had seen more of her in the movie, because she reminded me how much charisma Katie O'Brien has as an actress.
Yeah, I think there might have been like too much to cover in a movie of this length. Like that might have been part of the problem, because the documentary is a docuseries. I mean, there's a lot, because you do have to cover her fighting career, her childhood, where she came from, why she ended up that way, and then this stuff with her husband just sort of happens in the movie, and I don't know, it might be too much to cover in a film like this.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, that speaks to sort of the weird imbalance that's going on in the film, where it is trying to be the boxing movie, but also this really sensitive portrayal of domestic violence. I don't think it does either one particularly effectively because it's trying to navigate both at the same time. But I should shout out the scene earlier that we mentioned about Merritt Wever, that scene in the hospital where she sees Christy, after just having suffered her attempted murder, and she still tries to get her to admit to go back to her husband and admit that it was all her fault. And just the way
Oh,
Merritt handles that sequence, it's the most risible dialogue in a lot of ways. It's
yeah.
not a good scene, but Merritt Wever commits to it fully, and she got so many hisses in the Toronto audience because she just leaned into being the evil mother in that moment.
Oh, she's awful, but Merritt's so good.
Yeah,
I was wondering what the audience reaction was because I was in a screening theater. There was like 5 people there. Like it was not full at all. So I felt nothing. Like through the whole movie, it was just like silence. It was like I was alone. So
right.
I like, what was it like watching with an audience?
As I said, they were gasping when Merritt Wever delivered those lines, and just were
Okay.
like audibly angry at her because she was just so mean and so wicked in that moment. And it was a classic wicked mother moment, wicked stepmother moment. So yeah, no, you heard it
Wow.
and
Sure.
I applaud Merritt for leaning into that sort of caricature of an evil mom. I think it's again kind of a silly moment, but she plays it about as perfectly as you need to in that scene. I think.
Both good movies. I mean, Christie is another thing we didn't really mention. Christie is like Blackbeard Pictures and Smashing Machine is A24. So, I mean, one has a lot of experience with Oscar campaigning and Black Bear's like sort of getting its footing. So, I mean, there's that advantage that Smashing Machine has too for looking at which of these two is going to be like an actual Oscar contender.
Absolutely. Yeah. Black Bear, in fact, picked up Christie basically right as it premiered in Toronto. So it went to Toronto without a distributor. And the day it premiered, Black Bear said, oh, by the way, we're releasing this in November. So I do think that even if they don't necessarily get Sydney Sweeney all the way to the Oscar, just the fact that they have this movie they can campaign brings attention to them. It's their way to sort of test out how award season works. So yeah, it's a good test case. And just Sydney Sweeney being in it brings attention to the film and to the company. So it makes sense as a trade-off. All right. Well, I think in conclusion, I think it's fair to say if we in a head-to-head matchup between these two, we would both take Smashing Machine over Christie as the knockout winner of this particular head-to-head match.
Yes, I would agree. I mean, I think it's not that close. I mean, neither one of these is a masterpiece, but I would say I really thought Smashing Machine was highly entertaining, and Christie was just sort of not as much for me.
Right. Yeah, no, absolutely. In the Smashing Machine, you can definitely enjoy a lot more because it is much more just about the fighting and the bad stuff that happens isn't quite as traumatic as some of the stuff that happens in Christie, which does get pretty traumatic at times. You people should be cautioned going in that you're going to see a lot of traumatic things in Christie if you need that warning ahead of time. But we'll see how it plays out. Again, Smashing Machine's in theaters starting today. Christie comes out in November, and you can expect to see both Dwayne and Sydney on the awards campaign trail for a while. They're gonna ride this out. I think they should have like a staged boxing match where they get in the ring and just pretend like in Rocky 3. It's like a Hulk Hogan Rocky Balboa staged fight where they reenact that.
I mean, she probably comes up to his waist. It would be, I mean, that would be quite the show.
It would be quite the show. It would be quite the show. Almost as good as, or maybe they show up at the Oscars and like do some boxing at the Oscars. We'll figure it out. They got time to figure it out, but I think there's a gimmick here they can ride at through award season. All right. Well, thanks for joining me, Denton. I'm glad we got to talk some boxing, got to talk some fight movies. Check out both movies in theaters. Hit us back with your thoughts, comments, questions, voicemails at awardsmagnet@goldderby.com. And we'll be back in your eyes and ears next week with another episode as Oscar season continues chugging along. Thanks for listening to Awards Magnet, Gold Derby podcast. Like what you heard? Leave us a review wherever you listen to podcasts. Awards Magnet is produced by Andrew Merrill. Our logo is designed by Chelsea Sakura. Please like and subscribe to stay on top of all the awards news and email us at awardsmagnet@goldderby.com.